Let's keep it on the rotation. We're live here, Whisper Nation. Great to have you with us here on this Friday afternoon, the 20th of November. We got Thanksgiving next week. This weekend, though, here we're getting you ready for the Week 11 matchups, the News and Nuggets episode of the Fantasy Whispers. Here, I'm Austin Sear, joined by my panel of hosts. We've got Johnny Game Time Hicks. You can catch him on Twitter at hit him with the handle, Johnny.
Johnny_game time.
There we are. And Big Travie as well. Big Travie, where can they find you on Twitter at?
I'm on Twitter at Big Travie TFW. I believe Johnny works his magic and puts those on the screen for the people too.
Yeah, I do. They're right on there, and so yeah, they fully spelt out how they are. It's perfect.
The Magic Man, Johnny.
The magic.
Graduated from Hogwarts back in 08. We have got all of the tricks and the tools here to help you get our Twitter handles straight into your face. We are going through the news and nuggets from around the NFL, helping you get prepared for this weekend's action. And Johnny, Travis, we're headed to week 11. We got just a few weeks before the playoffs kick in. Anything you'd like to share with Whisper Nation before the comments and questions start coming in the chat and we start delving into these news and nuggets?
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. We will help you through these tough decisions, and these next few weeks are going to get a little bumpy. And we're going to deal with some of those. We're going to talk about some of those injuries and things like that throw real wrenches in your lineups, but we're going to get you over those hurdles, get you the right guys in those lineups, so that way you can get into the promised land. That's what I have.
The only thing you have to fear is Adam Gase himself. That
yeah,
is it.
I love
No
that.
Fear. What about you, Big Trav?
I say piggybacks on Johnny's point a little bit. I was talking with somebody on the matchup show, and it's funny how we become analysts, but then we're also like fantasy football therapists for people out there. So if you're dealing with some issues with your team and you need somebody's shoulder to cry on, we're here for you. Look, I have people in the DM asking me if anybody's seen Joe Mixon. Has anybody seen Joe Mixon lately? I mean, I'm worried about the guy. I just don't know if he's around, but I'm here for Whisper Nation. We'll try and help you out.
Oh my God, Travis, I love that. It is that time of the year. And if you're here for looking for a support network, hey, maybe you went off and, made the wise decision to draft Saquon Barkley, Dak Prescott, and George Kittle, And if you want to go ahead and talk about what that's done to your fantasy record, we've got people here who can understand and empathize with you fully. But we are moving forward because, as Johnny said, have no fear. There is always an alternative path ahead. Somebody on your waiver wire is going to have a monster game at every single position. Let's help you find out which ones those are. So with no further ado, we have got the Atlanta Falcons, Calvin Ridley. Week 11 looks like he is going to play against the Saints. He doesn't have an injury designation on the team's final practice report. It's going to be a full go, but he has been a little bit hit and miss here, Johnny. So how are you feeling right now about Calvin Ridley specifically, and how does this impact the other pass catchers and playmakers for the Atlanta Falcons?
I mean, I'm firing him up. If he's playing, I'm giving it a go. I'm going to trust the coaching staff, and the matchup I'm not too afraid of. Yes, it will impact a little bit of Julio Jones, but like we've seen this story over and over again, and the impact is good. It's beneficial for both Julio and Calvin Ridley when they're both on the field. And this is also good news for Matt Ryan. I know he's going to be needed to be streamed this week, so it bodes well for those people who were looking for a good little uptick here late in the week.
Yeah, 6 total games in which Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones have been fully healthy with Matt Ryan, and in those games he averages 25 points per game. So you really like Matt Ryan's prospects with both guys back.
I love those points to include here. Great matchup too. Exciting divisional showdown between the Falcons and the Saints. That's going to be, I expect, an exciting game to witness. But the Baltimore Ravens have a running back committee made of nightmares themselves. But Mark Ingram did not practice this Thursday. He's missed the last several weeks. But this Thursday practice, he was able to suit up. And is there anything you're looking up? We did see him get some game time in last time. We think he's going to be moving forward. He's not really playing that well. How are you looking, Travis, right now at Mark Ingram and the rest of the both running backs and playmakers out of Baltimore.
Yeah, if all three are healthy, which it looks like Ingram's going to get another game in because he came back last week. I think you have to fade all three. Like, there's just not an option for you when all three are on the field because we just see them not get over 13 carries, not break 70 yards, and who knows who's going to score, if anybody, in these games when they're all together.
Yeah. And Johnny, I wanted to ask you about Nick Boyle. Unfortunately, he's done for the season with a knee injury. This cues up Mark Andrews. Now, Nick Boyle had been that blocking tight end who had done a really good job at that role, who had been seeing more of an uptick in pass receptions as of late. This would suggest now that those tight end targets are off the board for him. Those would be going to Mark Andrews. Do you think that's what's going to happen? Do you see Andrews' snap share percentage increasing with this Nick Boyle news, or will the targets get distributed elsewhere?
So it'll be interesting to see who they pull up. They didn't have another tight end in the game for Baltimore, or on the roster on Sunday night. So you did see an uptick in routes ran and receptions for Mark Andrews. I do think that you will see some now. Will he get all of the Boyle targets now? That is still up for debate. I mean, this guy was still leading the Baltimore Ravens, and by this guy, I mean Mark Andrews, was still leading the Baltimore Ravens in targets before this injury. So I do think that those people who were holding out for Mark Andrews are going to see a better second half of the season. We also have to remember he had one of the most difficult schedules in the beginning as far as tight end schedules, and that really opens up the second half, especially with their defensive play. Defense is really reeling right now. They've got a lot of key injuries. So now that defense isn't going to be as reliable, and they might be either down in some of these games that they would have had a nice lead. They could have just socked it away. So I do think there are better days ahead for Mark Andrews. Whether or not he will see the vast majority of these snaps and he'll be on the field the vast majority of plays, that is yet to be seen. We'll see it this week, but I do think it'll definitely go up from the 60% that he was playing before.
So playoff matchups, you're looking forward to Mark Andrews, just not as sure yet where it could go, but reasons to get excited.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Whisper Nation, thanks for joining us here on this Friday afternoon. Love to have you with us here in the chat. Thank you for joining along. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to the channel and you like what you're hearing, go ahead and hit us with that like and subscribe. We'll do our best to get to all of the questions you have here, but we will be logging off here shortly after 2 o'clock Pacific time. So join our live show an hour and a half before kickoff on Sunday morning. Johnny, Travis going live on the YouTube channel, answering all of your lineup questions, discussing any of the recent updates before kickoff to help get you square. But we'll do our best to get through some of the ones in here. Gaming JML, what's good? What's good? Thanks for joining us along here. He wants to know Alex Smith or Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield or Alex Smith this week?
Love to say neither here, but since we can't, I'm going to go with Alex Smith. I think that Alex Smith has 700 yards over his last 2 games. He's got a decent matchup. Yardage regression, which is a thing, positive yardage regression, which is a thing for quarterbacks. If they throw a lot of yards, but they haven't thrown touchdowns, you should see the needle swerve that way a little bit. So I actually like Alex Smith here. And then Baker Mayfield, like, this offense just does not throw. That's not what they do. They want to line up and run the ball, and that's what they're going to do. And the weather in Cleveland has just been so bad over the last 3 weeks. I wouldn't want to bank on you having to have a good weather game here.
Yeah, keep an eye on that weather, right? Big time. We've got Nick Chubb coming back. You mentioned it. You said it perfectly. It's a running team in Cleveland. They're going to have to keep throwing the ball over there in Washington. Alberto Lopez asks Deontay Johnson or DJ Chark. Johnny, you have strong feelings on this one. I know you're invested in both of those players.
Yeah, I would roll with Deontay Johnson over DJ Chark this week. Both have really nice matchups, but I am a little bit more concerned with the quarterback play for Jacksonville as opposed to Deontay's getting Ben Roethlisberger. So,
yeah, man, those 4 touchdowns from Big Ben last week when we thought he might not even play, it was encouraging to see. Reed Getler asks, who do I start kicking, Koo or Randy Bullock?
Is he going to start kicking these guys, or he wants to start a kicker? Sorry,
well, It could
Reed
be
does.
either. Maybe he'll clarify. Reed will, but I'm assuming which kicker do I start?
Yeah.
Koo or Randy Bullock? I'm starting Koo all the time right now, right? He's been like top 3 all season, and he's playing in got a high scoring matchup. Or do you guys disagree?
No, that's the what I just checked was the over under, and it's not off by much, but Atlanta has the higher over under here, so I'd take Young Wake too as well.
Yadvir Pata asks, should I start Taysom Hill over Brady? Brady's play Rams tough D, and Hill plays weak Atlanta D. I know we'll get to the news here on Winston getting backup reps to Taysom Hill with the Drew Brees absence, but can we trust Sean Payton to keep Taysom Hill out, or are you? How would you feel? This is a weird question.
This is such
I guess kind of ask.
this
Go
is
ahead, Johnny.
this is such a joke that not like this question, but it's such a joke that Taysom Hill is going to be the quarterback. This is I like everyone and their mother can see Taysom Hill is not a good quarterback. He's a great athlete. You use him all over the field, and
Good football player.
yeah, he's an amazing football player. All due respect, it's with all due respect, but he is not a
With all
good.
due respect.
Yeah, he is not a good quarterback when you're throwing him. If they know, oh, he's going to be throwing every single time, or he's going to be the quarterback on every single down. I really suspect this to be Jameis, even though Jameis isn't the most reliable quarterback either. He has a better arm and is more accurate. I can't believe I just said that, than Taysom Hill. So this is unbelievable. I will say, if there is a little bit of a cheat code here that we haven't really talked about on the show, because in a lot of the leagues we are in, it is not this way. But definitely make sure, I know in like some ESPN leagues that Taysom Hill is actually has a tight end designation. And I know that they could change that depending on the snap share. That's what they were saying. But as of right now, he's still a tight end position. So even if you're in like not a super flex league and you pick him up, you definitely play him, because he'll get quarterback snaps and you get those points, and he'll be putting up quarterback numbers at the tight end position, which we all know is a barren desert. So at least for 1 week, you're going to have an elite tight end.
I think that's a great point. And anybody who listened and caught that, and if this applies to your platform, you better be subscribing to the Fantasy Whisperers right now, because that is such a true cheat code, one of the rare opportunities that happens. But for folks who are not in a league designating Taysom Hill as a tight end, correct me if I'm wrong here, boys, but you can't start a quarterback you don't know who's actually going to be playing. And I don't care if Sean Payton right now says Taysom Hill is our starter, because he likes to play multiple quarterbacks anyways, and this is a prime situation to put them both in. Keep them both going. So to the original question here, Tom Brady. Tom Brady.
Yeah, sorry.
Even Drew Brees in the lineup wasn't somebody we were confident in each and every week.
Yeah.
So if we're going to go to the basis of like, are we confident in Drew Brees, even against an Atlanta offense? Look, I was streaming Winston in a few leagues where I had Josh Allen on bye. I liked the idea of it, but at this point, you cannot trust it. And I would rather take Tom Brady as a favorite against the Rams. And I know it's a tough matchup, but you got to take what you can do here. So, and we know Brady's going to get 100% of the QB snaps, God willing.
And speaking of players that have multiple positional designations, Brett in the chat asks, would you guys start JD McKissick, running back / wide receiver, depending on your platform, in Washington, or Damian Harris, running back for the New England Patriots?
The PPR league. I think if this is a PPR league, I'm gonna go with McKissick. But if this is a standard league, I'm gonna go Damian, just because Damian's consistently getting over 100 rushing yards, and I think that they will continue to feed. I think that they've understood, like, okay, we need to run the ball and then use Cam as another running back, and that's how we're going to get, sprinkle in some passes. But basically, I think Damian Harris has done enough to really solidify his role, and I think this is basically him and a Rex Burkhead. Now, he doesn't have the upside of maybe a touchdown because they pull him out for some reason, and it's Cam and Rex Burkhead in the goal line packages. But I have more confidence in just the game, whereas like McKissick, he has a low chance of scoring a touchdown as well. So
Houston's such a great matchup too. Like, it's just a really good matchup on paper for the Patriots to be able to run the ball against them. So I would agree with Johnny on that. And I love the breakdown PPR versus standard as well, because 14 and 15 targets to a running back is no joke, especially in PPR. So
Well said. Moving into our news and nuggets here in Carolina, Carolina's Teddy Bridgewater. They haven't given up on the idea that he could be playing this week. We saw that MCL sprain. He's not moving 100%, but he might be good enough. If he's not in, former XFL star PJ Walker is going to be quarterbacking for the Carolina Panthers. Big Travie, how are you looking at this whole quarterback situation, and how does Teddy Bridgewater playing on less than 100% or not playing in PJ Walker, how are you feeling about that as a quarterback potential stream, as well as the impact that has on the pass catchers and overall offense?
yeah, I wouldn't get anywhere near streaming. I wasn't going to stream Teddy Bridgewater in this matchup, even though it's kind of on paper okay. He's just been so up and down. So PJ Walker would not be somebody getting the nod. I have to tip my cap, or I guess I should say headband, to Johnny here, because we did the matchup show breakdown, and he talked about how the only wide receiver actually you think like is worth a flex in this particular game might be DJ Moore, just because of the explosivity that he has. He's been able to make big plays happen, but other than that, you're probably fading this wide receiving core with PJ Walker at the helm.
And speaking just on that note on there with DJ Moore, it's a weird one because you know how inconsistent he's been, but the last time I checked, he's like the wide receiver 13 or something there. So like
Yeah.
high end wide receiver 2, back end 1, but not a vein. I guess they have kind of an equal nervous system fueling the whole offense. Great breakdown there. Here, Joe Mixon, we talked about him. He's not going to be playing this week against the aforementioned Washington football team. Joe Mixon being out cues up Giovanni Bernard, but we've also seen Zach Pascal come in and have some good work there. Did my brain just mess with me?
Yeah.
I was like, Zach Pascal coming in at running back over here.
I was like, damn, all right. Okay.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
No, excuse me, but we know that thank you. Samaje Perine, who had a decently efficient week last week. This is still Giovanni Bernard taking over, but I see Gio's ceiling getting lowered a little bit because of the role Samaje Perine looks to have carved out. Johnny, would you agree with that take, or how good are you feeling about the running back situation in Cincinnati, and then as well as the rest of the playmakers for Cincinnati as well?
Yeah, I think you hit it right there on the head. Giovanni, you're going to start if you need a flex option, but you're right. Like, he's been seeing his carries get dwindled down, so isn't as confident of a start as he was before. I think that this is going to be a game where Cincinnati's going to have to throw, and so I'm looking at pass catchers. I'm really liking T. Higgins, really liking Tyler Boyd this week.
Patrick Breyer in the thread. What's going on, Patrick? Asks Travis Fulgham or Amari Cooper this week.
Travis, you go with this one. Travis, you go with this one.
I'm going to actually probably go with Amari Cooper. I know it's a little gross, and Fulgham's been consistent, but last week scared me. Wentz scares me. The amount of weapons back in the Philly offense scares me off of that. What's going on there? And yes, it's a great matchup against that Cleveland secondary, but once again, the weather could play a factor, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks there. So that'll be something to monitor. And I think it's just a lot cleaner with Andy Dalton coming back. Amari Cooper did see good targets with Dalton in that one game. We've seen a propensity for Dalton to pepper targets to guys that he likes. So I'm going to bank in on that. And I think that's just a little bit more of a solid floor for me with some upside, too, with Cooper as well.
I think Amari is still the unquestioned one. I know CeeDee Lamb is really coming in at the rookie position. Galladay's over there as well. My concern with Fulgham is he's probably still the one, but he came kind of out of nowhere. Rager looks really good too, and they've got a whole host of other wide receivers that I know Alshon Jeffrey probably isn't a real threat, but I didn't think Travis Fulgham was a threat earlier this season either to be the lead dog over there in Philly. Brett asks, he thanks us for the information here. He's leaning McKissick and PPR. Right on. Do you like starting Zeke this week over James Conner? I'd start James Conner. I mean, is it a tough matchup for Pittsburgh?
Minnesota.
No, and Jacksonville is who. Yeah, it's not. It's so.
I love a situation where I could start them both.
Yeah, I honestly
I'd love
would.
to know what your other options are, because I think they're both decent plays this week.
Yeah.
I think based on the fact, I'll just go with this. Like based on the fact that Minnesota is favored in that game against Dallas, I might lean towards Connor since they're going to be up and they're going to control the pace. Pittsburgh may, they're favored by 10, so that should be great game script for Connor. I would go maybe the edge goes to Connor there.
Talk to me a little bit about Andy Dalton's role on the Dallas Cowboys offense. We're expecting to have him come back this week. He's activated from the COVID-19 list, and there doesn't really seem to be any hesitations that it's going to be Dalton, even though they haven't confirmed that yet. We were expecting Dalton to show up better than he has after Dak went down. People were saying this is the best backup in the NFL. Ryan Fitzpatrick might have something to say about that now, but Andy Dalton didn't look great. He went down. He's coming back now. Is this anything to get excited about?
I think if you have the other pieces, that you've got to be a little excited. You have to have some hope. Back to the fantasy football therapist role, like you want to have some kind of hope here with Andy Dalton getting back to the realm here. Look, we have one game sample size of him being really bad with the Cowboys, and then a whole career or so with the Cincinnati Bengals that showed like he can get it done for fantasy purposes. And so I would just be excited a little bit about Zeke, excited a little bit about Amari Cooper. Your CD Lamb stock is rising a little bit. You hope, and so yeah, I would have a little bit of faith. I'm actually even streaming Dalton Schultz in a league. Just that this Minnesota secondary is really bad and it's banged up, and it's been banged up for quite a while. So there's some hope, I would say.
So maybe you're liking the impact Dalton could have on the pieces, but you're not yet feeling good about firing Dalton himself up.
I would have to see it, man. That Arizona game was bad news.
Right. He should have done a lot more than he ended up doing. Moving forward to another quarterback who's had some injuries dealing with this season, Drew Lock of the Denver Broncos. He's questionable in week 11, dealing with a rib issue. He did practice Thursday and Friday. Looks like he's going to be in there playing, but does this mean you're going to want to play Lock, who's been in the conversation for streamability? As well as what does this do to Jerry Jeudy and the other playmakers over there? Maybe Noah Fant, who's working through his ankle injury as well. Johnny, do you want any part in the pass catchers or the offense for the Broncos this week right now, and specifically related to Drew Lock?
No, I am not. I think that if Drew Lock plays, it is going to be a long day for him. He will at least have 2 picks. I will call that. You're looking at Miami matchup. Miami is a really good defense, and so they get after the quarterback. I think that if you have Miami's defense, you should look to start them. And yeah, as far as the pass catchers go, you're downgrading all of them, even including Noah Fant, unfortunately, because of the injury. But if I had to start someone from this game, though, it would be Noah Fant. I do feel the most confident in him in this game. But yeah, I have concern about Jerry Jeudy and Tim Patrick because they'll be locked up with like Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, who have been just absolutely locking down corners. So yeah.
Yeah, Miami's doing it in kind of the fundamental ways of a defense: get pressure and then lock it down on the corners. And they are susceptible, as Johnny said, to tight ends. I'm a little bit concerned with Fant and the ankle and the ribs and everything that he kind of he's lumbering around, but he's like still fighting through it. So he's tough, but toughness doesn't really get us fantasy points, unfortunately.
I'm feeling like Noah Fant's floor is still pretty good based on the role on the offense and the other pieces the Broncos have, but I'm just not feeling as shiny about Noah Fant until he's back to 100% and gets to really use that physical dominance he holds. But yeah, you're starting him based on opportunity, I think, alone. Patrick Breyer, happy Friday to you as well, man.
Happy Friday.
Asks,
Happy Friday,
yeah,
Gus.
and so does Gus Ramos. What's up, Gus Ramos? Thanks for joining along. Good to see you here with us. Patrick's asking about starting Mike Davis or Duke Johnson. Mike Davis filling in for CMC. Duke Johnson filling in for David Johnson. Travi, are you feeling any strong way about Mike Davis or Duke Johnson?
I wish I knew what PJ Walker was going to be able to do for this offense. I'd be a little bit more inclined to start Mike Davis. It is a great matchup against Detroit, and you really want to get a piece of that. But Davis himself has been declining. This offense is in flux with the quarterback situation. I think I'm going to roll with Duke Johnson here. I think I know what I'm getting out of Watson in the offense, and I know it's been a tough matchup earlier in the season on paper against the Patriots, but lately the Patriots have been gashed by running backs. So I kind of like this matchup for Duke Johnson.
Moving over to Detroit, DeAndre Swift, who's looked so
Dude,
good as of late, took a hold of that backfield, doing it in all
This
the
one,
areas.
Johnny's going to need a moment on this one.
yeah, this
I
one.
know, and I'm dragging my words out because I'm coming to Johnny for this question. He's not going to be playing in Week 11. He was a full participant at Wednesday's practice, but has since been in the league's concussion protocol. We got a short week ahead. How does this impact the rest of the running backs and the offense? Johnny, please talk to us about the running back situation, and then we'll jump over to Travis here for the wide receivers and quarterback.
First of all, we should be saying, how does this impact Matt Patricia and his job? Because how does your star running back get a concussion in practice? Not in a game, in a practice. This is
Not the
unbelievable.
game.
This is unbelievable.
Practice.
I could not believe this news. And like what also sucks on top of it was the news comes out on a Wednesday that he has a concussion, and it's so unusual that a player gets a concussion in practice that you were like, oh, is this like really a concussion, or is there maybe he hit his head and they're like dealing with, so you didn't know. So for people who were on pause for yesterday, for like Edmonds and Drake, I'm not saying any eyes, but pointing my finger over here. You had no idea, and then it comes out today. Yep, he not only is he gonna miss this game, and one of the juiciest matchups he's had on his whole entire slate, but he could miss next week now because he again gets a concussion in a Wednesday practice. And you look out a week later, and they're playing again in Thanksgiving. So you're taking out one of the best running backs that's like really been exciting over the last week. He was going to lead people to championship glory. I mean, he still could, but now it's going to delay a couple of weeks, and now you got to get in. Unbelievable. And now you got to turn over the keys. Not only that, but now you got to turn over the keys to like a 1990 Honda Civic over here, and like a Prius, and freaking it's just, and now it's terrible. You can't start carry on.
It's terrible.
You can't start Kerryon Johnson. You can't start Adrian Peterson because they're gonna probably split carries, and they both look terrible. And so this is just the worst news ever. And now you got Matthew Stafford dealing with that thumb injury. This is just the worst news. This is the worst day ever.
Johnny, thank you for that. If you had to start Adrian Peterson or Kerryon Johnson, which one?
Can I go with no one? Can I start no one?
You can. You started this podcast,
no,
man.
That's not I would probably start Adrian Peterson because he'll get the rushing. Although I have a sneaky suspicion this is going to be a mega Kerryon Johnson day for some weird, I don't know. But I would say I do think if I had to put my money on it, it'd be Adrian Peterson. But it's still gross. It's not fun anymore. Like,
Travi, and how about on the pass catching side of the ball? We know that Matt Stafford's been dealing with a thumb. He's Matt Stafford. Give him credit where credit's due. He's a tough ass dude, but he is dealing with a hand issue. It's not going to keep him off the field. It doesn't look like. He's been a pretty darn good fantasy quarterback, and he was last week. How are you feeling about Matt Stafford, along with Kenny Golladay being out, and the impact that makes on the wide receivers, Marvin Jones included?
Yeah, I'd be a little shaky to go ahead and start Matt Stafford. I understand that he has been tough, but the thumb injury would scare me a little bit. If Swift was healthy for this game, I could really see them just relying on the run as much as possible and dink and dunk with Swift. But that does make it a little interesting if they feel like they're going to be able to do that. Carolina has statistically been a pass or a run funnel defense because they've been so bad against the run that people don't tend to pass on them as much, except for last week Brady did it, and then the Chiefs have done it too. So I think it can happen for Stafford. I'm looking at some other matchups at quarterback, but before I look at Stafford, I'm looking at even a Cam Newton who's in a nice matchup against Houston over a Matt Stafford, so things like that. That you'll have a rushing floor, because I could easily see this either one, they hand the ball off a ton and they just don't throw it a bunch, or he gets re-injured, like the thumb gets dinged up in some way, shape, or form, and that would be really scary for me. So not really trusting Matt Stafford, and I think that would extend out to Marvin Jones with Kenny Golladay out. TJ Hawkinson does have my interest. If he goes, as always, I think TJ Hawkinson's a mainstay, especially with the way tight end works.
Good breakdown there, Big Travie. And I want to ask you actually this question here, Travie, before I jump over to Johnny, touching on some Jacksonville updates. But Garrett Crumrine, thanks for joining us, Garrett, asking about Noah Fant or Dalton Schultz. I know you've rostered both of them in some leagues, and you talked about them earlier, Travie. Who would you rather start this week, Noah Fant or Dalton Schultz?
I'm still going to roll with Fant. I think you talked a little bit about his floor earlier, and I'm a fan of Fant's mainstay in the offense when he's there. You just got to hope he could somehow get a touchdown in this one. Schultz is just dealing with the unknown that is Andy Dalton, and there were some good targets for him in that Monday night game. So I'm hopeful of that, but I still think Fant's the better talent here and the guy you're going to trust in this matchup.
Well said. Johnny, over in Jacksonville, Coach Doug Marrone said Gardner Minshew is not going to return, but he could be coming back kind of soon. And we've also got Laviska Shenault, who is certified out week 11. How are you feeling about DJ Chark, James Robinson, who's dealing with a shoulder injury, but it's looking like it's not a big deal? Are you excited about the playmakers here, the big ones in James Robinson and DJ Chark this week, or are you going to be fading on that, given the quarterback news and the injuries?
We've talked about this on our matchup show. We talked about James Robinson is going to get he's a volume play. You look at what they've done over the last 2 games since they've turned the ball over to Jake Luton. He's gotten 27 touches and 28 touches. So I expect him just on a pure volume play. It's not the greatest matchup once again. The Steelers are one of the best run defenses, or they give up the least amount of points to opposing fantasy running backs. But on pure volume alone, it's hard to say that, given 27 touches, that you can't get some kind of value from that. So I would still go with James Robinson. DJ Chark, I understand if you have other options, then I would probably look elsewhere if because the matchup, you can pass on Pittsburgh, but once again, Pittsburgh might know, they know now that with Laviska Shenault out, I could actually see this being a little bit more continue that Keelan Cole games. We've seen him get majorly targeted with Laviska Shenault out. Last week, he got like 80% of the targets over there for Jacksonville. So I think with teams knowing that they only really have to shut down James Robinson and DJ Chark, it's allowing for these other players to kind of have okay games. But I don't feel confident in starting Cole or Keelan Cole this week. And I think DJ Chark is more of a flex play.
Good breakdown there. Here in the chat, Ilias Giftopoulos, great name there. Thanks for joining us. Asking about his flex start, 6-person league full of bums. Taysom Hill or Aaron Jones at flex. I'm assuming you've either got him in a tight end spot or a super flex situation. You got to start Taysom Hill in your flex spot, right? This week, potentially starting. I get we haven't seen it. Aaron Jones is amazing. Having an opportunity to start a quarterback, though, in your potential flex. Am I missing anything here saying that Hill's the right choice?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
I will. Here's what I'll say. Like on that whole thing, one of my very first championships came on like a technicality like this. Joe Webb was a quarterback and a receiver for Minnesota, and it came down championship week. And you needed to fill in. I think Culpepper went down or something, or McNabb went down, and Joe Webb was the only other quarterback on the roster. And so nice. I put him in as my wide receiver, and I had 2 quarterbacks that week, and it ended up winning me a game, winning me the championship. So
reminds me of Terrell Pryor for Cleveland. They had him running at QB there for a couple games.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Taysom Hill truthers will not want to hear Terrell Pryor because it was not a pretty sight.
I want to talk a little bit about Kansas City. We've got a lot of weird question marks, and we need to sort this through a little bit here. Help me out, boys. CEH was held out of Thursday's practice with an illness. As of now, there's no indication it's COVID-related. Darrell Williams was out as well, though. So we got Le'Veon Bell and Darwin Thompson as only the healthy backs. That could change by Sunday. We've also got some question marks, though, at the wide receiver position, given Sammy Watkins' hamstring has been lingering with him, and we've also got Demarcus Robinson who could be getting a benefit with Mecole Hardman on the COVID list. How are you looking at this in the short term, long term? What are the pieces we should be looking at in Kansas City as we're getting closer to the playoffs?
Travis,
Johnny.
Yeah,
well,
I thought that was Johnny. My bad.
Oh, no worries. I guess I'll jump in here. I do think that it definitely is a little bit bummer for those of us who are really kind of hoping of the Mecole Hardman breakout. It definitely does only seem like he's a handcuff in case Tyreek Hill anything happens there. Sammy is a little interesting. I was looking at him. He's seen a decent amount of targets when he's played, but it's all the underneath stuff. So he's not getting the bigger plays. So I feel like his upside is a little bit capped. And then Robinson, I think, continues to be that third option. I don't know if I would be starting him either in this game. It would mostly be Tyreek Hill. I definitely monitor the running back position there with Le'Veon. I think if CH doesn't end up going, I think Le'Veon Bell would get the bulk of the carries there and the bulk of the touches.
They said CEH is good to go. I think.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
I think
why
they announced that he's good to go.
Okay.
But yeah, I would agree with Johnny. It's weird with Mecole Hardman because, like Johnny said, you are bummed because we thought any one of any injury in the passing attack would get it done for Mecole and kind of vault him into this, week winning option. But yeah, I think Johnny hit it right there when he says it's more of a handcuff for Tyreek Hill. And I would say even if maybe a Travis Kelce injury happened, maybe you'd see more Mecole Hardman action and love. But this is, Patrick Mahomes knows how his bread is buttered. It's through the run game, it's going to Travis Kelce, and it's going deep to Tyreek Hill. And that's how they get this thing done. And they're going to continue to do that. The other pieces are just kind of interchangeable week to week.
Speaking of interchangeable, the Los Angeles Chargers have had a lot of running backs. They've fed a lot of different touches. Right now, Kalen Ballage is their workhorse, and he has not really disappointed. Boy, this is a weird situation. The former punchline of too many fantasy football jokes is the starting running back for Los Angeles. Johnny, you've had a lot to say about Kalen Ballage over the years. What do you have to say about him right now? And that's in no way throwing any shade at you in the past.
No,
it's a crazy situation. How are we evaluating Kalen Ballage in 2020 with the Chargers?
Listen, I don't take anything personally with the Kalen Ballage thing because it was all Adam Gase's fault. It was all Adam Gase. So I strictly blame Adam Gase. I'll continue to do that. And I will continue to point the finger and say, how does this guy still have a job when it's clear and obvious that the worst football player in the history of football goes to another team and actually starts producing, and you still have a job? That just baffles me. It's so clear and obvious that Adam Gase is the worst coach or just a person to be around football. I don't get it. But yeah, so Kalen Ballage this week, you're starting him. I feel confident in playing him. I cannot believe I'm saying that. That is wild. His touches are, unfortunately, aren't going to be. It's not just going to be the Kalen Ballage show. You'll still see some Kelly in there. I thought maybe Pope would get some action this last week, but he didn't get any carries. So yeah, it doesn't feel good starting Ballage. It's a little bit cringy, but he's getting the job done. And until Eckler comes back, which we don't even know when that will be, it's looking like Ballage could continue to help win you weeks, and that's what you got to do over these last few weeks, especially if you have to get in. You got to take the names away from these players, and you just got to be able to say, can I look at the tape? Are they going to get the job done? Are they going to get me the points? Or and not go with the cute route. You got to go with what you know and can get you fantasy points, and say what we want to say. As much as I want to make fun of Kalen Ballage, he's getting it done. He's getting points. So yeah.
So we've got two more teams to jump into the news and nuggets for. We've got the Eagles, and then we've got Tampa Bay. And if we've got any other questions popping up from Whisper Nation, please be sure to ask. And if we don't get to your questions or you don't have a chance to offer it up, be sure to join us an hour and a half before kickoff on Sunday for our live YouTube show, answering all of your lineup questions, going over any recent updates to help you get ready for those last-minute lineup adjustments before the games begin on Sunday. But Big Travie, Philadelphia has had so many different players at so many different positions coming in, tight end, wide receiver, running back. This week, we are looking at Rager and Fulgham being in the field. We had Alshon Jeffrey activated, but he didn't do anything. We've got Zach Ertz, who's getting better, but still not ready. Dallas Goedert is going to be the tight end still. And running back situations, Miles Sanders came back, looked good. Corey Clement was just placed on the COVID-19 list, along with Arcega-Whiteside and defensive end Vinny Curry, which is going to leave Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. How are you evaluating the playmakers from a fantasy perspective this week for the Eagles?
Yeah, this is a great matchup on paper. Cleveland is a terrible secondary. They've been getting roasted. You should be able to take out your player. You should be able to put your players in your lineup and go after that secondary. The problem is that all these injuries you've mentioned, all this carousel of players, hasn't been at the right position, which is quarterback. Because right now you are wishing that they'd have a different quarterback at this point, because Carson Wentz just looks god awful over the last couple of weeks. And maybe that's a knee jerk reaction, and he's obviously probably good, but I think it's just frustrating. And what it does is it gives you no trust in some of these weapons. Like, you just can't trust mostly the pass catchers. I think Dallas Goedert's a decent play against Cleveland, just from our historical route, not from the last 2 weeks. You don't feel confident in it, but like from a historical route with this offense under Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz, they love their tight ends. And so you should be able to trust in Dallas Goedert this week. And I think if you're going to take a dart throw on any of those pass catchers, it's Jalen Reagor to me. I think his snap share's gone up, his target share's gone up the last couple of weeks, and he's a big play threat. I mean, this guy stretches the field. We talk about Henry Ruggs being the fastest clocked, official guy in the draft, but Jalen Reagor had his own unofficial timing that clocked in faster than Ruggs is on his own workout video. Now, he could have doctored the video or something, but it's just to remind people of the playmaking ability that Reagor has under the hood. Yeah.
Great breakdown over there. A couple questions here before we talk about Johnny's boy, Antonio Brown. Alex 2020 asks, Kalen Ballage or Mike Davis? That's a good question. Thumbs up for Kalen Ballage.
Yeah, I would give it to Ballage, I think.
You like Ballage over Mike Davis?
Yeah, unfortunately, the matchup's great. Herbert's got that offense humming. I'd be trusting in that offense, the looks that Ballage is going to get.
Good to see Darius Rice. He sent a DM in Instagram. We'll be following up with you. Have no fear, Darius Rice, on that. Only fear Adam Gase, as we said.
Yeah.
Dylan Can't Shoot asks Taysom Hill or Andrews, assuming that's Mark Andrews. Taysom Hill, cheat code. Anywhere you can start Taysom Hill in a non-quarterback position, do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it this week.
Yep.
Even if, just do it. Do it this week and don't feel bad if you flop.
Such a sneaking suspicion that this is a trap, dude. Like, he's gonna run like 3 plays and just bottom out your roster.
No, it's worth the risk because the upside is so much. The upside is quarterback numbers of 25 points, and you're not gonna get
100%.
Yeah. So rounding it out here, Antonio Brown, he destroyed an HOA security camera, something like that. He is under review by the NFL. These actions, along with the local HOA, are taking a look through their county bylaws. But we've got Bruce Arians coming out saying that they will move on from Antonio Brown as soon as the wide receiver is not a model citizen. A model citizen is one of those things of like, it's a fraction of the time. 1 out of 10 is a fraction. 10 out of 1 is a fraction. It doesn't mean anything. One is 10%. One is 10,000%. Doesn't mean anything. A model citizen, modeling after what? I don't know what that means. But Johnny, Antonio Brown, he's came in, he's been playing. You and I had an over-under bet of 3 games. He's flirting with that mark, right? It's right there. How are you feeling about him right now and rest of season?
I think this is hilarious. I think that people are just trying to find news about stuff. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, how many? Oh my gosh! It's like, hold on.
News or if he's creating news.
Hold on. If
you just do that on a weekly basis, bro, you just go smash the.
No, I'm not saying that. But how many stories have I can pull up so many stories of NBA players or NFL players that they break windows or they like get in fights and like all this stuff. And like for the vast majority of them, it's no big deal. It's you hear the story, it's like this thing and it goes, but because it's Antonio Brown, we're making it a bigger deal because it's who. Hold on, the reality.
So.
Hold on, the
Rightfully
reality
so.
of the story is we don't know what is it. But did he accidentally swing out too far and hit a camera, hit the camera? What did like we don't know. We don't know the exact. No, I'm just saying.
Johnny the Antonio Brown apologist. I love it. I love the role you're playing today. Here's the bottom line here. Two things. To Johnny's point, Bruce Arians came out and said they already knew about this and that we need to quit beating a dead horse here because this was part of their evaluation. It happened before he was signed. They knew that was going to happen. But to Austin's point and to most people's point, like you're under a microscope, dude. So like you don't get the benefit of the doubt to be like, hey, you guys shouldn't keep talking about these things. No, that's exactly what we're going to do because you made your choice to be this guy and to, you make your choices and you have to live with those choices and you have to be whatever a model citizen is. You've got to try and be the best version of yourself because now you are under a microscope for your football life. And so I think there's a little truth to both angles here.
If the binary line is destructive, unstable person, and we're on either yes, a destructive, unstable person, or no, we're not a destructive, unstable person, would breaking a homeowners association security camera fall in the I'm an unstable, destructive person, or would it fall in the I'm totally stable and not a destructive person?
Hold on. First of all,
okay, so that's the answer.
Hold on. We don't know how the camera was destroyed. Like, what if like I said, what if it was a complete accident? It's a complete accident and he could have accidentally hit the security camera, and we're making once again it's an accident. And then people just assume. What do we say when you assume things? We all know that phrase. When we assume things, we are just putting it because it's based on his character in the past. We don't know the story of what happened. He just swung too far left and actually boom.
Man. He was awful forever, and now he's good. Like, you can't use somebody's past to make a determining factor about their future.
That's like, when I can see the incident, and now if I go and watch the camera incident and it shows him going up to the camera and trying to like punk the camera and then like punch it, then it's like, okay, that's different story. That's an anger. But like I said, if it was like he was driving his car, accidentally took swung a little too left or far out and accidentally clipped the camera, which destroyed it, it's like, okay, come on, what are we really trying to get at here? Are we really trying to create a story? Or are we just doing this to, like I said, create a story, which we are. That's what I don't know yet. I haven't seen the footage. I don't know what he did. I don't know if he punked the camera or if it was accidentally hitting.
We're just asking questions. Johnny Game Time legal advice coming your way. If you haven't subscribed to the Fantasy Whispers yet, log on to Johnny Game Time's legal advice. He's got you covered, man. Get him as your lawyer. It could be anything. I don't know.
It's more like. I mean, at this point, I just love that Johnny wants to see the good in everyone. He just wants to.
He's right.
You have this track record of being a degenerate, but I think I believe you that you accidentally broke this camera. You didn't just like do something. There's no way you're maniacal. You're a changed man. You live with Tom Brady now. You eat avocado ice cream. You're a good dude. We get it.
You're a good dude for sure. For sure. This is they shouldn't have put that camera out that far.
Next, we're gonna hear that Antonio Brown destroyed the avocado ice cream container that Tom Brady left out. Are they gonna drop him now?
Depends on how he destroyed it. Well, that's Whisper Nation.
Touchdown celebration. That's what I would call.
If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. And be sure to join the pre-kickoff show 90 minutes before kickoff on Sunday morning. Have all of your lineup questions answered and just shoot the stuff here before we get ready for kickoff. Boys,
Kyle punches drywall. Johnny blames the drywall. Drywall's fault, dude. Just looking at him wrong.
No, dude. Okay, so Jacob Bley says he threw a bike or something. What if he was ghost riding the whip and it just ran into the camera? Is that his fault?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That would be his fault. Ghost riding
negligence.
Yes.
Negligence.
Hey, dude, it was ghost riding the whip.
All right, Whisper Nation, we love you.
We love you, boys and girls. See you soon.
Peace.